Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you guys staying healthy, staying happy, staying motivated. We are in the beautiful, sunshiny state of Florida. I'm actually in South Florida, located in Davie. I love Davie. I actually live here, do a lot of real estate, a lot of business here in Davie. Right into it, guys. Guys, if you're looking to buy, you're looking to sell, you need a property manager. My name is Joel Vargas, 305-988-2230, and I would love to work with you. So let's jump right into the video. Today we're talking about a hot topic that has been spoken about many times, but something that's active and people are always watching is we're talking about interest rates, everybody. We are talking about interest rates and what this means from in regards to real estate, how it's affecting real estate. I have some data I want to show you guys, so I'm going to put it up here so you guys can see it. We're going to start with the first one. It says here, housing experts were betting on mortgage rates to decline this year on looser Fed policy, yet the 30-year mortgage rate has been stuck around 7% all year. Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae say they expect mortgages to stay in the 7% through 2024. We did touch on this several times, but something that why it's important is because you have a lot of buyers that are possibly holding off, that have been waiting for better interest rates, hoping the Fed was going to make action, lower interest rates, lower mortgages, make it a little more affordable. But that's not happening, guys. We did, most of the videos or in all of the videos that I have up, I've always pretty much stated that if you're waiting for the Fed to cut interest rates, it's most likely not going to happen. And the reason being is this, just to get into it real quick, we have high inflation right now. So when you have high inflation, just to put this in simple terms, it lowers the value of the dollar. So if you have in circulation an economy, let's just say for sake of an argument, let's say you have 1,000 $1 bills. Each $1,000 bill, well, $1 is worth $1. If you print out 1,000,000 $1 bills, the value of the dollar no longer remains the same. It actually drops, because you have more inflation and you have a reduction in the value of that dollar, meaning you can buy less. Inflation, the way they rank inflation, or a metric they use is if you were to go to a grocery store today versus, let's say, 3 to 5 years ago, you're going to see that the same amount of groceries that you pay for today is going to be more expensive than what you would have paid, let's say, 3 to 5 years ago. And going back to just because we have inflation and you have less value in the U.S. currency. You have that coupled with other things that are going on internationally. I believe Russia right now is teaming up with other countries to kind of get rid of the dollar. There's a lot of things going on with the dollar right now, but we're not going to get into too much technical details of that, but we have high inflation. So because we have high inflation, the way you can help reduce high inflation is you got to raise the interest rate. You got to raise the interest rate. Say that again. When you have high inflation, the way you try to combat that is you raise the interest rate. Well, that's usually what works. But we already have high interest rates. Can't keep raising interest rates, making it more unaffordable for everybody to be able to make a move and borrowing money. Because if you do that, if you freeze or you make it less desirable to borrow money, you're going to have less money in circulation, less transactions, a slower GDP, a slower economy. So there's no economics. I always say this is not a science, it's an art. Meaning you go based off of theories and historical events that have happened in the past, and you use these theories and these historical events to make your next move. But economics can be quite complicated. It's never simple. A equals B, or sorry, X equals X, or whatever. You guys know what I mean. So yeah, guys, because of that reason, because we already have high inflation, the Fed can't really lower. We have already high inflation. The Fed can't lower interest rates, because in doing so, if they lower the interest rates, what's going to happen? You're going to have more activity, more transactions, and possibly cause higher inflation if you lower it. Why is that? Well, the logic behind all this is that when you raise the interest rates, you make it less desirable for people to borrow money because it's more expensive to borrow money. So if, let's say you're buying a $500,000 house, but you have a 4% interest rate, That's pretty good. That's not a very high interest rate. You can make that work. But if you have an interest rate that's almost double that and makes payments unaffordable, and people are less likely and willing to be able to get that loan for, let's say, the house or however you see it, borrowing money in general. On the flip side, when you lower inflation, you make it more desirable for the person or the entity to borrow money. They have better terms, they have a better interest rate, so they're more likely to make that transaction happen. They're more likely to borrow money. And what does the borrowing money in the transaction do? It heats up the economy. It adds more to the GDP of our economy. So just to be clear with everybody, when you raise interest rates, what you're trying to do is slow down the economy, slow down the borrowing, make it less desirable for people to borrow money. Our economy is very hot now, so when you raise that interest rate, you're going to have less borrowing, less transactions going on, which in theory, and again, in theory, not in fact, but in theory, that should help combat inflation. Now, on the flip side, when you lower inflation, you're making it more desirable for people to borrow money, more transactions. You have a hotter economy, trying to grow the GDP. But the issue is, when we have high inflation, like for example, right now, where we have high inflation, the problem is having high inflation. The problem is the typical way to combat that high inflation is you want to raise the interest rates. You want to slow things down. You want to cool the economy off. It's too hot, too much borrowing going on. But the problem is interest rates are already high. So if you keep raising interest rates, it's possible that you suppress the economy, slower GDP. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, no president, nor any upcoming president is going to want to slow down the economy. Their number one focus is to always increase GDP. You increase GDP, it makes them look like a hero, that they did all this for the economy, yada, yada, yada. So I know it's a little bit of a side note, but I just like to explain that so everybody can have an understanding of why the Fed makes its moves and what their logic behind all of this, right? So I have another statistic here that I want to show you guys. So I went ahead and I put that up so you guys can see it. But this is just from different sources all across the United States, different organizations, lending organizations, so you guys can get a better understanding. Freddie Mac mortgages rates will stay above 6.5% through Q2. Let's go to the next one. National Association of Realtors Chief Economic Lawrence. The budget deficit remains high and the various inflation metrics. I'm going to fast forward. That means mortgages will likely be in the 6 to 7% range for most of the year. So you guys can read the rest of these, but I just want to touch base on this. So what are they pretty much saying? Well, they're pretty much saying that inflation right now, interest rates right now are probably not going to be going down anytime soon. And then this is a big if, this is a very, very big if the interest rates do go down, you're going to see it happen at the end of this year, and you're going to see a minor adjustment, realistically around 6.75%, give or take. Could be off by a little bit, but you're looking at about 6.75% maybe at the end of this year. And again, it's a big maybe. I don't really think that's going to happen, but it's all going to depend on the economy, inflation, all that gets taken into consideration, okay? So just something to keep in mind about. And again, for people that are waiting to buy a home, waiting for a better interest rate, I mean, guys, if you're going to be waiting for a better interest rate, an interest rate that really makes an impact on your payment, you're going to be waiting for some time. And I touched base on this in my last video, and I said that if they lower interest rates, right, and they make it more desirable for people to borrow money, creates more buyers, you're going to have a higher demand for homes. What does a higher demand for homes mean? Prices are going to go back up. So it's going to be kind of like a paradox in a sense, where they're going to lower interest rates, they're going to make it more desirable, but you're going to have, again, it's going to create higher demand for homes. So, well, what I did say this in my last video was that the market is in a very, especially right now, it's in a very weird space, right? Why do I say that? We are not in a buyer's market. Let's make that clear. It's not a buyer's market yet. We have yet to see that. Why do I say that? Well, I listed a house about 2 weeks ago. Within a week, we had a contract. I know I have another realtor friend who listed a house, also got it under contract in a week. If the house is marketed right and it's priced correctly, it sells, guys. So they're not giving any concessions. They're not helping the buyer out with any down payment, straight up offers. Where actually the deal that I have going on actually got we actually are on the contract for 10,000 over the asking price, and I priced it for that reason specifically. I wanted to create a bidding war. I wanted to be able to get it over asking price, and that's why you work with a good realtor that's knowledgeable and knows how to give correct estimates, not appraisals, just general estimates of homes. That's why it's super important to work with a good realtor who's knowledgeable in the business, who's doing this every day, who's going to create a situation where you have a bidding war. Again, not every realtor knows how to do that. Not every realtor knows what the market value of her home is. I purposely priced it under the sales price of what we're going to get, because I wanted to get 10 to 15,000 over asking, and that's what I did. That's not a situation that happens every day, people. That happens because I marketed the home correctly, I did my homework, I did my research, I have the experience, and that's what you pay for an experienced realtor, to get you more money than you thought you would even be getting, over asking price. So keep that in mind. Again, going back to the people that don't like to work with realtors, and I get it, you don't have to, and I understand that. There are realtors that are really horrible at their job. But this realtor you're seeing here, this handsome Floridian realtor, I know my stuff, guys. I do this every day. I know what markets you should be looking at right now if you're looking to buy, and I'm gonna get into it right now. If you're looking to buy a home and get a good deal, and by a good deal, I mean, and just so you guys know, again, I'm a licensed and insured realtor here in South Florida. If you're looking to buy, you're looking to sell, you need a property manager, 305-988-2230. I would love to work with you. Okay, so if you're looking to buy right now, you're looking to get a good deal. When I say a good deal, I'm talking about $25,000 to $50,000 off from the listed price or from the nearest competition. This is what I'm gonna tell you. And I know this because I do business in these cities as well. Port St. Lucie is about an hour and a half away from, let's say, Broward County, give or take, hour and a half. Now, I know some of you may think, well, it's an hour and a half, I get it. It's not right there. It's not necessarily South Florida, but they have beaches, they have canals, they have boat access, they have golfing. They have pretty much everything that you would have here in South Florida. It's less populated, and Port St. Lucie has had a great increase in the people that live there. And what does that mean? Well, there's been more new construction homes. Right now in Port St. Lucie, if you work with a good realtor who's doing this every day and they know what to look for, there are homes right now in Port St. Lucie where, especially the new construction stuff, where the buyer already bought the home. He already bought the home from the developer, so they own the home. Now they're trying to sell it because their plan was to buy it and make money. Well, because you have certain areas, so much new construction, it's a lot of competition. So there are homes right now that, again, the buyer already bought, they own the home, but they're trying to sell it, where the seller's actually gonna lose money. And I'm not saying like 10,000 bucks. I'm saying they're gonna lose money. Anywhere from realistically $20,000 to $30,000, they're gonna be losing money. And what do they say, that phrase, someone else's loss is another person's win? There is a specific home in Port St. Lucie in a community where all the homes are priced at about $500,000, and there's a home that just got reduced to $450,000. How do I know that? Well, because I have a home for sale in Port St. Lucie. So I have to know my market and what's going on in the same community. That's my job. That's my job to be, that's what they pay, that's what I get paid for, that's what my experience is for. So there are homes in Port St. Lucie right now that the sellers are in a point where they want to sell. They want to sell, they want to get rid of the home. So they're willing to take a loss. They're willing to undercut the competition by 50 grand and take a $20,000 to $30,000 loss on their home, meaning they probably paid somewhere in the 400s, but when they sell it, because they're desperate to sell and they want to get out of the home, they're going to take that 20 to 30K loss. Again, someone else's loss is your win. That's why you guys pay realtors. That's why you guys pay people that know what they're doing. So there are different markets in South Florida, but Port St. Lucie is something that I'm very active in, and I love Port St. Lucie. It's a beautiful city. And again, there are markets all throughout South Florida. If you're looking to buy right now, what you really want to be looking at is new construction home areas or cities that have a lot of new construction. Because with the new construction, you have opportunities where people bought into it thinking they were going to make 30, 40, 50 grand. But because there's so much competition, they have to undercut everybody, which ultimately means they take a loss. If I were to just make this the most logical way, if I were to buy a car for 50 grand and sell it to you for 20 grand, wouldn't you say that's a steal? What seller do you know of any item, any product wants to take a loss on an investment? Nobody. But again, there are people now, because of certain cities, there's so much homes being built that they need to get out. They need to make their money. They need to get out because they're realizing it's just too much congestion with real estate. Now, is that true all throughout South Florida? No, it's not true throughout all of South Florida. Most of South Florida, and I'm talking about pretty much Margate, let's say Margate, Sunrise, Plantation, most of these, and south of that, there's still a lot of competition out here, guys. There's still houses. Again, I just listed a house 2 weeks ago, got under contract within a week. I created a bidding war. I priced it right, I marketed it right. I know somebody else who listed a house that also got put under contract in a week. So this is still happening in a buyer's market. You don't ever see that. Now, another reason, and I mentioned this yesterday, why there's certain pockets of South Florida that are good buys right now, is because we're going into summer now. A lot of purchases take place in summer and right before school. Why is that? Well, because parents want to move during summer to get their kids in the right areas. And once they buy a home, they settle down and they get to doing that. So right now we're kind of in a standstill, and there are different times of the year that are kind of weird like this standstill. Another time of the year is at the end of December. Why I did it in December? Because people don't want to be moving in Christmas, and they don't want to be moving for New Year. They want to have already got their house, be settled down. And what you'll see is a lot of activity will pick up right after New Year, January, February, very hot for real estate. Whew, so a lot of information, a lot of stuff I'm telling you guys. But hey, you came here to watch the video. I want to inform you as much as possible. Free information, why not, right? From somebody who's actually doing it every day, who's in the market. I know these things and these data points because I either do business in them, I see it every day, or I have a house in that market that I have to know the area and what's going on. So yeah, so I'm going to put this last pick up so you guys can see one last data set or data information. Findings from Redfin show the median U.S. home sale price soared to $387,000 during the 4 weeks ending in May 19th. Sorry, the 4 weeks ended May 19th. So this past 4 weeks, a 4% increase from a year earlier. It continues and it says the monthly mortgage payment at that price, when accounting for 7.02%, median interest rate for a 30-year mortgage is now $28.54. So what is this pretty much telling you? Well, where I just told you, we're in a strange time, right? Where you have less buyers right now. You have a little bit more inventory all throughout South Florida. You have a little bit less competition. You're still seeing literally all-time highs in home sales price. And that's happening all throughout the United States. And what also makes it a weird condition is that, or a weird time, is that you normally see this when the average income earner has a low debt to income. But what's strange is that we have right now some of the highest debt to income ratios all across the United States, but you're seeing houses sell for all-time highs. Again, that ties into different reasons, but it's a strange time because, again, we have high interest, high inflation. Another data point that I wanted to point out to you guys is that all across the United States, there are homes selling for, there are almost in different areas, different cities. I put this up in a couple of videos ago. There 50% of these sales are cash buyers. So even though you have a situation where there's the average income, the average income earner is pretty much can't afford to buy a home, you're still having a lot of activity. And what I say all the time is that there are homes being sold every single day here in South Florida and all across the United States, guys. So you have a very interesting situation where realistically we should be seeing lower home sales. We should be seeing less people buy homes. We should be seeing everything drop, but you have a high amount of purchase price, a high interest rate, a high inflation, and yet people are still buying homes. The last thing I want to touch base on is, with all this information, what makes it another interesting point is that a lot of homeowners right now that bought a home, let's say within the last couple of years or before the last couple of years, where they had an interest rate under 5%, realistically, guys, under 4% or around 4%, a lot of people are reluctant to sell their home. Why are they going to sell their home and then they're paying 4%? They're going to buy a home now and they're going to pay almost double the interest rate. So that also creates another interesting situation where if they're more reluctant to sell their homes, they're not going to put their homes on the market. It creates less supply of homes. So again, it's really relative, and that's why you always hear people say real estate, location, location, location. When it comes to real estate, that's the most truest and accurate statement. It really depends where you're looking at, what market you're looking at. There are different data sets, different cities all across the United States. Obviously, some hotter than the others. Miami is one of the hottest. So yeah, guys, so pretty much like we mentioned earlier in this video, pretty much you have, because there's different reasons of, again, inflation, interest rates, you have a lot of sellers that are reluctant to sell because they don't want to buy a home at a higher interest rates. You have in certain cities across the United States, you still have markets where 50% of the sales of the homes are being bought with cash. So because of all this, it creates a different or an interesting scenario where I mean, honest with you guys, you're not really going to see a huge reduction in home sales of $100,000. Yeah, you can get a pretty good deal right now, anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000 reduction. Maybe you can get the seller to, contribute $5,000 into your closing costs. That's all possible. But in other markets all throughout South Florida, especially as the closer you get to Miami, you're not going to really be seeing reductions like that. And again, an argument why people say that we're in a buyer's market. Definitely not in a buyer's market. I personally am listing homes where they're going for a $10,000 to $50,000 over what we're asking, and it's being under contract in a week. So this is not made up. This is real factual events that I work with every single day. Again, I know these things because I'm in the market every single day. And I'm going to leave you guys at that. If you're looking to buy, you're looking to sell, you need a property manager. My name is Joel Vargas, 305-988-2230. You want to work with one of the best, most dedicated realtors here in South Florida. I love what I do. I love helping my clients. I'm transparent. I'm honest. I don't want to cheat anybody. I want somebody to work with me, and when they work with me, to be the absolute happiest that they can be and only speak positive of their experience with me. I want people to feel joy. I want people to feel at peace. And if I ever feel that my clients aren't happy with what they're doing, there's never any pressure. I am here to facilitate, to help you through this experience, help you do this transaction. But my ultimate goal is for you to be happy, because happy clients are going to refer you more happy clients. All right, guys, hope you guys have a great day. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay motivated. Love you guys.